गए हैं. Am I audible to all my audience? First of all, I just want to know that my video and audio is clear with you all. एक बार आप मुझे कमेंट में बताएंगे कि मेरी आवाज आपको ठीक से आ रही है क्या? हाँ जी, गुड इवनिंग है जी, नमस्कार है. एक बार आप बताएंगे मेरी आवाज ठीक से आप सभी को आ रही है क्या? हाँ जी, गुड इवनिंग है जी सभी को मेरी तरफ से नमस्ते. जो भी अभिवादन का शब्द आप स्वीकार करते हैं, आपको गुड इवनिंग है जी, नमस्कार है, श्री राधे है. एक बार आप लोग मुझे बताएंगे कि मेरी आवाज आपको कमेंट सेक्शन के माध्यम से आप मुझे बताएं कि मेरी आवाज आपको ठीक से आ रही है क्या? ओके, गुड इवनिंग, गुड इवनिंग. हाँ जी. स्वाति नंदी यहाँ कनेक्ट हुए हैं, रितिका कनेक्ट हुए हैं, कुसुम जी कनेक्ट हुए हैं, सुमन धनकर मैम हमारे रेगुलर व्यूअर हैं. कुसुम जी बता रहे हैं यस सर. सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल आई वुड लाइक टू पे अ ब्यूटीफुल थैंक्स टू ऑल आवर पार्टिसिपेंट, सभी साथियों का, सभी प्यारी प्यारी ऑडियंस का जो कमेंट के माध्यम से हमारे साथ कनेक्ट भी हो रहे हैं. मैं आप सभी को मेरी तरफ से नमस्ते करता हूं. मेरा नाम राज आलमपुर है. मैं एक साइकोलॉजिस्ट हूं. रोहतक में मैं प्रैक्टिस करता हूं. हम लोग पर्सनालिटी केयर फाउंडेशन एक हमारी संस्था है जो ऑल ओवर इंडिया के नए नए एक्सपर्ट अपने फील्ड में जिन्होंने बहुत एक अ, बढ़िया काम कर रखा है और जिनका बहुत अच्छा क्वालिफिकेशन भी है और जिनका तजुर्बा भी बहुत बढ़िया है, अलग अलग एक्सपर्ट को इनवाइट करके हम लोग ऑनलाइन वेबिनार के माध्यम से आप सभी से जुड़ते हैं. आज इसी संदर्भ में अब एक और वेबिनार में हम कनेक्ट हुए हैं और जितने ज़्यादा आप लोग हमारे साथ कनेक्ट हो रहे हैं, जितने साथी हमारे साथ जुड़ रहे हैं, मैं उन सभी को बता दूं कि किसी भी एक वेबिनार में रजिस्टर करने के बाद आपको किसी भी दूसरे वेबिनार के लिए रजिस्ट्रेशन नहीं करना है. ऑटोमेटिक वी विल ऐड यू इन द ग्रुप एंड वेयर वी विल शेयर द नेक्स्ट वेबिनार्स यूट्यूब लिंक एंड ऑल. आने वाले जितने भी वेबिनार्स रहते हैं उन सभी का डिटेल हम उस ग्रुप में डाल देते हैं. आप सभी का मैं बहुत बहुत धन्यवादी हूं. जो नए साथी जुड़े हैं मैं उनको बोलूंगा कि इन सब चीज़ों को अरेंज करने में ना सिर्फ रिसोर्स पर्सन का बल्कि हमारी टीम की भी एक लंबी मेहनत लगती है. तो आप लोग हमारा थोड़ा सा हौसला बढ़ा सकते हैं इस वीडियो को लाइक करके. और हमारे रिसोर्स पर्सन को मैं आज इंट्रोड्यूस करना चाहूँगा. मैं आप सभी का आज होस्ट हूँ. आप लोग मुझे जानते ही हैं, मैं रोहतक में प्रैक्टिस करता हूँ. रिसेंटली आई जॉइंड इंडियन आर्मी जहाँ पे मैं एज ए साइकोलॉजिस्ट प्रैक्टिस कर रहा हूँ और मेरा खुद का क्लिनिक है रोहतक में, वहाँ मैं प्रैक्टिस करता हूँ. और हम कुछ और विशेष चीज़ों के साथ कनेक्ट हो रहे हैं जैसे कि आज हमारा ये वेबिनार है. और आज के वेबिनार की जितनी खूबसूरत बात है कि रिसर्च ऑन साइकोलॉजी, उससे भी अच्छी और बेहतरीन बात है कि हमारे रिसोर्स पर्सन भी उतने ही आज सबसे अलग हैं. जी हाँ, आपको जान के अजीब सा लगेगा, थोड़ा अलग सा लगेगा कि लगभग इंसान सेवानिवृत्त होने के बाद, सेवा पूरी करने के बाद जीवन को अलग ढंग से जीते हैं. लेकिन हमारे बीच में आज जो रिसोर्स पर्सन है, मैं सभी ऑडियंस को बोलूंगा कि वो कमेंट के माध्यम से एक वेलकम लिखे. और मैं पर्सनालिटी केयर फाउंडेशन की तरफ से डॉक्टर मनस्विनी दास जो आज के हमारे रिसोर्स पर्सन हैं, मैं डॉक्टर साहब का बहुत 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 दिल की गहराइयों से हार्दिक स्वागत उनका मैं वेलकम करना चाहूंगा. उन्होंने हमारे एक छोटे से मंथन पे उन्होंने इस कॉन्सेप्ट की, इस विचारधारा को समझा और वो हमारे साथ कनेक्ट हुए. उनका समय काफ़ी आज भी उतना ही बिजी स्केड्यूल रहता है. मैं हमारे रिसोर्स पर्सन के बारे में बताना चाहूँगा. आप रिटायर्ड फैकल्टी हैं पीजी डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ साइकोलॉजी, यानी आपने साइकोलॉजी में उत्कल यूनिवर्सिटी भुवनेश्वर, उड़ीसा से आपने रिटायर्ड हैं आप. और आपने एमफिल और पीएचडी किया है। ये इस बात का इशारा है कि आज आप रिटायर हैं, तो आप सोच के देखिए इतने साल पहले आपने साइकोलॉजी के बारे में सोचा, पढ़ा, बच्चों को पढ़ाया और न जाने कहाँ-कहाँ तक उन्हें पहुँचाया होगा। तो मैं इस लंबे विज़न के लिए मैं बहुत-बहुत ज़्यादा आज अपने आप को गौरवान्वित महसूस कर रहा हूँ कि इतने अच्छे, इतने अनुभवी लोग हमारे साथ कनेक्ट हो रहे हैं। मुझे भी बहुत कुछ सीखने को मिलेगा। आप सभी भी साथ-साथ वेलकम कर रहे हैं, सिद्धार्थ जी, साहिबा जी, त्रिथा और दूसरे पूनम महिला हैं। नए-नए साथी हमारे साथ में वेलकम कर रहे हैं। मैं मैडम का बहुत-बहुत दिल की गहराइयों से स्वागत करता हूँ। उन्होंने हमारे निमंत्रण को स्वीकार किया और आज इस बेहतरीन टॉपिक पे बात करने की उन्होंने हमारे साथ एक खास साझी की है। आइए हम सभी उनका वेलकम करें। मैडम आपका बहुत-बहुत मैं धन्यवाद करता हूँ एंड नाउ इट्स ओवर टू यू।
Thank you, Rajji. Welcome to all of you, and a very good evening to all of you. Let us start today's topic since time is limited. I am going to discuss on research in psychology. Okay, we are all doing research. What is the we will discuss today on the points. What is the research first? Then different purposes of research. Oh, why to do research? Then how to do research, typical stages in research and different types of research and टाइम हुआ तो हम लोग क्वालिटीज ऑफ गुड रिसर्च के बारे में डिस्कस करेंगे। ओके, आपका जो भी डाउट मन में आया होगा आप मुझे बेझिझक पूछ सकते हैं। सॉरी इफ आई एम saying wrong Hindi, since I am an Odia, I am a resident of Odisha and Odia is my mother tongue. So let us start. आप मुझे हिंदी में पूछ सकते हैं, मैं हिंदी समझ सकती हूँ लेकिन ठीक से अच्छे से बोल नहीं पा रही हूँ। ओके, सो लेट अस स्टार्ट. व्हाट इज रिसर्च? Research means we are searching for knowledge. We want to know something and we are searching for knowledge. And in psychology, since psychology is a science of behavior and mental processes, while so using scientific methods, we search for knowledge in while we are doing research in psychology, and it starts with a question. So research is seeking answers to problem. There is a problem, there is a question in our mind, and we want to seek its answer. So what are the important functions of scientific research? Scientific research important functions are description. We are describing the facts. Explanation, secondly, it is explanation. We explain the phenomenon. And prediction, we predict what will happen if certain conditions are satisfied. And control, we want to control the behavior of individuals. And application, we apply the findings of research in different settings. So these five are important functions of psychological research. Okay, so scientific research, scientific inquiry, I told you, we in psychology we are doing research, we are seeking answer to some question using scientific methods, using methods of scientific inquiry. So scientific method is different from commonsensical method. In terms of scientific methods use conceptual schemes, concepts, scientific concepts. it is empirical, what we ourselves experience. So psychological research is empirical verification mostly. Then notion of control. In scientific methods, we control the scientific situation, control some variables. Then it is systematic. Systematic means it is logical, it is methodical. Then it is objective. It is not subjective. It is free from any subjective bias. And it aims in, I told you, as explanations of observed phenomena. We observe some phenomena and we seek the answer to the question, why does this happen? And we explain. When we get the answer through our research. So scientific research, we can say, is systematic, controlled, empirical, and critical investigation of hypothetical propositions about the presumed relations among natural phenomena. I told you the main purpose of research, we want to know something. Okay, so we want to acquire some knowledge. There are also other sources of knowledge. How can we acquire knowledge? We also gather knowledge from our experience. We often say, from my experience, I know that it is so and so. But experience, the knowledge gathered through experience is not objective. It is subjective. My experience may be different from yours. So the knowledge gathered through experience is personal experience, is subjective, and moreover, we cannot access all forms of knowledge through experience. We cannot experience all the phenomena in the world. We ourselves cannot experience all of them. Second source is authority. Authority means we may ask our parents, we may ask our teachers, so we may consult books, or we may ask some gurus, or anybody whom we think they have authority in the subject. But authorities can also be wrong. They may differ. Third method is deduction. Method of deduction. Deduction, we all know, you all must be knowing. It starts with universal knowledge, and the reasoning proceeds from a general theory to particular data. It is a deductive method, and a deductive method was suggested by Aristotle long back, approximately 300 to 350 years back, before Christ. So deduction is a method. We start from a general theory and we proceed to a particular case. But deduction is not sufficient for discovering new truth. Suppose there is no general theory for a phenomenon, then we cannot know about the phenomenon through the method of deduction. So to know new phenomenon, new truth, deduction method is not sufficient. Since deduction method is not sufficient, approximately 2000 years later, Aristotle suggested the method of deduction in 1600 AD. After the birth of Christ, Francis Bacon, he suggested the method of induction. Induction method is that method when reasoning proceeds from particular data to a general theory. So from a particular case, we proceed to general theory. If X is mortal, if Y is mortal, if Z is mortal, then we conclude that all are mortal. Okay, we all know about it. And scientific approach is a mixture of both induction and deduction. Okay, so scientific method uses inductive reasoning as well as deductive reasoning. In scientific method, usually we test hypothesis, not always, but usually we test hypothesis. We will discuss about it. And all scientific approaches share two basic elements. They are first data. Data are empirical observation, collection of facts, what we observe, what we have, what information we have, that is data. Okay, then second is theory. Theory is organization of concepts that permit prediction of data. Science uses both data and theory. Through the method of deduction, we start from theory. From theory, through the method of deduction, we form hypothesis, and then from data, through the method of induction, we again go back to theory. The theory may be, the data may confirm the theory, or the theory may be modified on the basis of our observation. Then what is a theory? Data, you all know what is theory. A theory is a set of related statements that explain a variety of occurrences of phenomena. So a theory explains a variety of phenomena. So the more the occurrence and the fewer the statements, the better is the theory. So the theory is a set of some statements. Theory consists of some statements, and theory explains some phenomena. And theory performs two major functions. First, organization and prediction. Organization of prediction. These two functions, we can say, are related to the description and explanation respectively. We have mentioned about the purposes of research: description, explanation, prediction, etc. Uh, to do research, we must know some facts about the research. Research, first, we discussed, it seeks answers to questions. Second, research is based on empirical or observable evidence. It rejects anything that is subjective. Research is systematic, objective, and logical. Research findings are systematic, it is planned, the methods are well stated, so it can be replicated. And research involves use of reliable and valid instruments for data collection and accurate analysis of the collected data is done. Then purposes of research. Why we are doing research? Research have several purposes. There are fundamental and basic research. One type of research we can say when our purpose is to seek knowledge, to acquire knowledge. So when we just want to acquire some knowledge for the sake of knowledge. Okay, that is fundamental research or basic research. We want to test theory, when we want to develop some universalistic statement, we want to know something universal knowledge, that is fundamental or basic research. When the findings of the research are applied, are practiced in some common fields, that is applied research. So research based knowledge or knowledge acquired through research, when it is applied, it is applied research. Fundamental research, suppose Freud or Rogers, they developed their theories, and our Rajji, who is a practitioner, he is applying their findings, their theories. Okay. Then third purpose of research is evaluation research. Suppose government is doing. Am I connected? So wants to know the effectiveness of these given practices, then it is evaluation research. Research, the purpose of the research is to evaluate the effectiveness of the given scheme. Okay, so because the scheme is practiced with a limited sample or restricted sample, and we evaluate the effectiveness of the scheme. Then the fourth type of research is action research. Or solution to an immediate problem. It is oriented to a problem, immediate problem solution management. So it has no universal validity. It is like more of social welfare activity. Some problem arises and immediate solution. That is action research. It may not be considered as a pure research. All the qualities of good research or research methods are not rigorously followed in action research. Okay. Then how to conduct research in psychology? There are typical stages in research. So first is to identify and define the problem, research problem. So first, at the first stage, we have to identify and define the research problem. Then from the problem, it is in the second stage, we formulate hypothesis. We know it is a tentative solution to the problem. If problem is a question, hypothesis is a tentative answer to this question. Then in the third stage, it is the planning or selecting the research design, the particular strategy. So this is also very important. We will discuss each stage in details. Development of tools for measurement and collect data. We also decide techniques for data analysis and interpretation. What statistical techniques will be used or applied, that is also decided during the third stage when designing the research. Then fourth stage, in fourth stage, we tabulate and analyze, tabulate the data and analyze them. Fifth stage, we interpret the results and draw conclusions. Then the next stage is we prepare a research report. So many people, they think that this is the end of the research, but to me this is not the end of the research process. The final stage is we must communicate the findings to the scientific community, because a good research must be replicated. That can be replicated, then can be either confirmed or falsified. So unless we communicate the findings of our research, how can others know what I found out, what knowledge I gained, and what method I followed? Others cannot know. So I have to communicate the results through either through publication in scientific journals or through presentation in conferences or seminars. So, first stage I told you, it is the identification of the problem and defining it. So, which problem should we select? While doing research, you should select a problem that interests you. If you have interest in that topic, you should select that topic. And the problem you select uh, should be such that it can be investigated within the time you have at your disposal. If you don't have enough time to find the answer to this question, then how can we do research and know the answer to it? So it should be feasible in terms of cost and then we should define the problem in operational. Operational term means it should be in a way that can be investigated. The problem is usually stated in the form of a relationship among two or more variables. Okay, so those variables must be testable. We should be able to measure it. So we should be define it in operational terms, how we can measure it. If we are going to research or to know about something, some concept that is very abstract, we have to define it in concrete terms while doing research. Okay, so, suppose somebody few years back, one of my students told, I want to know the relationship between emotional intelligence and success in life. So I told her, what do you mean by success in life? So success in life is different for different people. So you have to define it operationally, whether it is the amount of money a person has accumulated, or whether it is the mark a student scores. What is success actually you mean? So it has to be stated in a measurable term. Okay, and then only we can say that X is more successful than Y. So the variables must be clearly defined in measurable terms. Any philosophical descriptions should be avoided. And we should have some knowledge prior to the beginning of data collection. That is known as a review of literature. So we should review existing literature before deciding on a problem. Review of literature. Review of literature also helps us in relating our findings to existing we should do some review of the existing literature. We should go through the journals, we should go read about it. Okay. Then how can we know that the research problem is a good problem? It can be studied. It is a good problem, adequate problem to be research. You ask yourself, you decide some, you have some question in your mind, you decide to decide a okay. Can it be studied empirically and objectively? Then is it significant? Is it significant to know about, to do the research on this particular topic? Because we are doing research means we are doing a lot of work, we are spending our money, we are spending our time, we are doing a lot of work. So the problem should be on such topic that it is worth studying. Okay. The problem should be clear and unambiguous. So it should be feasible, and the problem is always stated in the form of a question. So it is stated in the form of a question. Does A affects B? Does emotional intelligence influences success in life? Does or are emotional intelligence and success in life are these two variables related? So it is in the form of a question, and it should not be too broad or too narrow. So you ask yourself, is it adequate it should not be, because it should not be too broad or too narrow. And most important thing, is it ethical? Research should not invite unethical practices such as deceiving or punishing the subjects, or creating harmful consequences. Okay. So suppose I want to know whether smoking influences or smoking leads to development of cancer. So does smoking cause cancer? Then I take a I ask them to smoke daily 15-20 cigarettes. Then I will see whether they are developing cancer or not. No, I cannot do that. This is not ethical. I cannot harm my subjects. Then the second stage is formulate hypothesis. So hypothesis is, I told you, tentative answer to our research question. So it is like stated, it is stated in the form of a declarative sentence. Hypothesis provides direction to our research. Stage is select a research strategy or design. research design is the plan, structure, and strategy of investigation to obtain answers to research questions. So we have our research questions, and research design guides us. It is a blueprint of research. So how we can proceed? So it is the plan. Okay, and it is a sequence of steps taken ahead of time to ensure that the relevant data would be collected in a way that permits objective analysis of the hypothesis which we have formulated with respect to our research problem. Through research design, we ensure objectivity, and also research design helps us to conduct our research validly and economically, as validly and economically as possible. So it does so by investigating the relationship between the independent and dependent variables, while controlling for the effects of the extraneous and or unwanted variables as far as possible. So how can I manipulate my independent variable? How can I measure my dependent variable? And how can I control the extraneous variable, the variables in which I am not interested? So, and during this stage of designing the research, decisions are taken regarding the sample to be used, development of tools, procedures for collection of data, and techniques to be adopted for analysis and interpretation of data. So, what is variable? I told you we have to, during how to manipulate the independent variable, and a dependent variable is to be there to be measured, there to be manipulated, independent variable is to be manipulated, and extraneous variables are to be controlled. So what is a variable? Variable is something that can have different values. Okay, so that can vary in terms of values. That is variable. And independent variable is actually it is the variable whose effect on the dependent variable we are going to study. So the effect of change in independent variable on the dependent variable is observed in research. And dependent variable is the behavior or the behavior of the individuals vary. So that is also a variable. So it is the variable which we actually want to study. The effect of independent variable on we are trying to study. It is the variable on which the effect of independent variable is studied. Okay, and what are the extraneous variables? Extraneous variables, besides independent variable and dependent variable, there are so many variables that affect the findings of the study. Suppose I am going to study the effect of temperature on the recall of nonsense syllables of individuals. Okay, memory of nonsense syllables. So I have two variables here. One is temperature, and second is recall how many nonsense syllables the individual is capable of recalling. Okay, so independent variable is temperature, and dependent variable is our number of nonsense syllables recalled. So apart from these two variables, noise, noise of the room can also individual, whether the individual is hungry or not. That can also affect the individual's intelligence. All the individuals vary in intelligence. That also affects the memory capacity. Individual's age, that also that can also influence the result. So all these variables which we are not studying directly are extraneous variables. They are extraneous to the experiment or research. And coming to the types of research, there are several types of research. First, we type of research we are going to discuss is true experimental research. True experiment. True experiment. In true experiments, we study the effect of change in the independent variable on the dependent variable. So we observe the effect of change in independent variable on the dependent variable. So we change the independent variable that in true experiment we directly manipulate the independent variable. Okay, so we directly manipulate. Manipulation means it is a deliberate change introduced by the experiment to see its effect on the behavior. So it involves arranging for the appearance of different quantities of different values of the or different values of the variable. Suppose I am studying the effect of temperature on memory. So independent variable is temperature, and I have to manipulate the temperature. So I arrange the research situation in such a way that the subjects are exposed to different amounts or amounts of temperature. So, or different values of the temperature. Temperature is the independent variable. And other variables, I told you, which may interfere in experiments result, that are extraneous variables, and confounding variables are it is also they are told they are kept constant or unchanging. So since these extraneous variables which may influence the dependent variable, but we, the researcher, are not interested in them. We want to control them. So these variables are controlled. Hence, these are called are also called controlled variables. So experiments usually introduce the independent variable to one group of participants and withhold it from the other group. So the group which is exposed to the independent variable is called the experimental group, and the other group which doesn't get the independent variable is known as the control group. And all the participants must have an equal chance to be exposed to the different conditions. So what are the different conditions? Experimental condition and control conditions. So all the participants must have equal chance to be exposed to different conditions created by the researcher. So, assignment of participants to experimental group and the control group are done on a random basis. That is known as random assignment of subjects. Okay. So randomization helps in controlling the extraneous variables. And there are also several methods of controlling the extraneous variables. A random assignment is one of them. Secondly, we may eliminate some variables from experimental setting. Okay. Suppose when we are studying the effect of temperature on memory, and there is a possibility that noise, surrounding noise may affect the result of the experiment, we may completely eliminate any kind of noise from the experimental setting. So we may test the participants in a completely noise-free environment. So we can eliminate the variable. Second method of controlling extraneous variable is keeping them constant. Third is matching. Fourth is counterbalancing. Then another technique, which is a statistical technique, through which we can also control the effect of some extraneous variable. It is ANCOVA, analysis of covariance. Then second type of research is field experiments. Field experiments, I must tell you that true experiments are conducted in laboratories, and field experiments, they are conducted in real life situations, in the natural settings of the people who are being studied. Okay. Experimental method have a major advantage that we can know the cause and effect relationship, because we control the effect, we manipulate the independent variable, and we observe the its effect on dependent variable, and we control the extraneous variables. So we know the cause and effect relationship. Independent variable is the cause and dependent variable is the effect. And field experiments are conducted in real life situations, in the natural settings of the people who are being studied. Suppose we are going to study the effect of a particular teaching method on the performance of students, class 4 students. So we introduce that particular method of teaching in their natural setting. That means in the classroom. The goal of the field experiment is also to make causal statement. Cause effect relationship can also be found, but the that rigor of the that statement, causal statement, is not so strong as true experiment, because in natural setting it is not very much possible to control all the extraneous variables. So manipulation here also is done, and a random assignment of participants to different groups does take place. But we have lesser control over variables than in laboratory experiments. Okay. So elimination of extraneous variables is not completely possible. But its ecological validity is very high because it is conducted in the natural setting of the participants. Then another type of research is ex post facto research. There are also known as causal, some are saying it as causal comparative research. We are also known to quasi experimental research. There is a very thin line of difference among them. Ex post facto research is the research wants to study the cause of an event which has already occurred, okay, as the effect of the cause. So the effect has already occurred, and we retrospectively study and to know or predict the cause on the basis of the controlled effect. That means the effect has already occurred. The researcher studies the possible causes behind the already occurred effect by going backward in history. Suppose we want to know the effect of smoking on cancer or development of cancer. So we study some people who have already developed cancer. Okay, they are already having cancer, and we select them. We go retrospectively, go back, historically, we go back, and we study whether they were smoking, or if smoking, how many cigarettes they were smoking, etc. Okay, so we go back in the history. Hence, here, the researcher has no direct control over the independent variable because they have already led to the effects which can no more be manipulated. Sometimes it is not possible to manipulate the independent variable. Sometimes it is unethical to manipulate such type of independent variables. So we have to follow ex post facto research in those cases. Random assignment is not possible here. We have to select the subjects, not it's we cannot assign the subjects randomly. Okay, so conclusion regarding the relationship between the variables are made without manipulating the independent or dependent variables. So this is ex post facto research. This is the independent variable occurs naturally. We cannot manipulate them. There are also causal comparative research. Suppose we want to study or compare boys and girls in terms of their mathematical ability. We cannot randomly assign a participant to boys group or to a girls group. We have to select some boys and select some girls. So independent variable, that is the sex or gender, it has naturally occurred. We have to select and compare them. Characteristics of ex post facto research is there is a control or comparison group. While studying the effect of smoking on cancer, we may study and we may take two groups of people, those who are having cancer, they are experimental group, and those who are not having cancer, who are healthy individuals. So there is a control or comparison group. This is known as comparison group here. And the treatment or independent variable is not manipulated or cannot be manipulated or changed. We focus on the effects. Experimental and control groups are created on the basis of the effect and explores possible cause and effect relationship between the phenomena. Then another type of research is survey research. Survey research is a non-experimental descriptive method of research which is used for studying large sample. Survey research is quantitative. It is non-experimental, so it doesn't involve an experimental group or controlled group. It is not done in a controlled condition. There is no manipulation of independent variable. It is descriptive in nature. We describe the phenomena only. And a researcher collects data with the help of standardized questionnaire or through interview. There are several types of survey, cross-sectional survey and longitudinal survey. Cross-sectional survey is the researcher collects data from different types of groups, such as from different age groups, from different SCS, or from different from the citizens of different nations, from different religious backgrounds, etc. So from different cross sections of participants. This is comparatively less time consuming and economical. And in longitudinal study, longitudinal survey, the same sample is studied for a longer period of time. This is used to study behavioral changes, change in attitudes, etc. So this is conducted over a longer period of time. Okay. Another type of research that is qualitative research. All these methods we have discussed till now are quantitative research. Qualitative research is qualitative research tries to explain the process by observing persons and events in their natural settings. Logical analysis of the phenomena is done, and before planning, we cannot formulate the hypothesis. The hypothesis may develop as the study progresses, and qualitative research is doesn't use statistical methods. There are qualitative analysis, qualitative the data here it cannot be represented in terms of numbers or scores. What we say, our words or pictures, data, they constitute or writings, they constitute data for a qualitative research. And methodologies include case study, ethnography, field notes, phenomenology, etc. Content analysis. So these are qualitative research. So qualities, then what is a good research? Good research is systematic, good research is empirical, good research is verifiable, good research is logical, and good research develops theories and principles, and good research is replicable. And important quality of research is validity. Validity is validity refers to the degree to which the findings we get can be actually attributed to the change in independent variable, that is internal validity. And another type of validity is the external validity. External validity is whether the findings can be generalized to the situation other than the research context. Are the findings generalizable? And internal validity is did the experimental procedure which we followed actually produce the difference? So internal validity can be obtained through controlling the extraneous variable, by doing the research in a controlled environment. The more the control, the more the internal validity. But on the other hand, if we exercise more control over all the extraneous variables, the external validity decreases. The generalizability of the findings decreases. So if when we are doing a research, we have to make a compromise. We have to make a trade-off between internal validity and external validity. Then comes the ethical questions. There are some ethical principles which are to be followed while doing research. First, I have mentioned about it through my lecture. It is beneficence and non-maleficence. That means we cannot harm our participants. We cannot expose them to harmful situations. Okay. Second ethical principle is privacy and confidentiality. Our participants have a right to their privacy and confidentiality and anonymity. Then we have to get their informed consent. We have to explain all the experimental procedures we are going to follow. If they are interested, they give their consent, then only we can include them as our participants. And they have also the right to withdraw at any point of time. Okay. If you have any doubt, you can ask me.
So I would like to pay again a beautiful thanks to Dr. for this amazing and insightful presentation about research in psychology. ना सिर्फ थ्योरीज, ना सिर्फ मोटा मोटा कि भाई रिसर्च का ऊपरी तौर, बल्कि हर एक स्टेप बाय स्टेप एथिक्स की भी बात की, टाइप्स की भी बात की, वेरिएबल्स की भी बात की। और कई सारे लोग ऐसे भी हैं जो आज का सेशन थोड़ा सा उनके लिए टीचिंग मोड में रहा होगा, क्योंकि अभी तक हमने बहुत सारे सेशन वो प्रैक्टिकल और इस टाइप की प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग टाइप की हमने चीजें ली थी। लेकिन हमारे साथ बहुत सारे साथी जुड़े हैं, तो उन्होंने बोला कि कुछ ऐसा भी होना चाहिए जो टू द पॉइंट हो और सीखने के माध्यम से कि एक टीचिंग स्टाइल हो, लर्निंग का बेस थोड़ा ज़्यादा अच्छा हो। तो उसी सेंस को लेके आज का ये सेशन हमने रखा था। आप लोग यदि रिसर्च में इंटरेस्टेड हैं तो नो डाउट बिल्कुल टकटकी लगा के आप एक ही बात ज़रूर सुन रहे होंगे, क्योंकि मैम ने जितना बताया है वो पूरी ऐसा लगता है एक पूरी बुक है जैसे कि। तो हम बात करना चाहेंगे अब अपने कार्यक्रम की चरम सीमा पे हैं हम। मैं डॉक्टर साहब का फिर से धन्यवाद करता हुआ आप सभी से बस पूछना चाह रहा हूं कि यदि आपका कोई भी सवाल है तो एक बार आप वो जल्दी से हमें कमेंट सेक्शन में बताइएगा। फटाफट से हम आपका इंतजार कर रहे हैं। जिन भी साथियों का कोई भी सवाल है, हम एक बार उनको देख रहे हैं और उनके सवाल हम लोग लेने वाले हैं। जी हाँ, फटाफट से एक बार आप बताइएगा। आपका इंतजार कर रहे हैं हम लोग। क्या कोई भी साथी सवाल पूछना चाहता है? जी हाँ। यहाँ पे कमेंट है, करुणा जी वेरी गुड सेशन। अंजू,
थैंक यू।
अंजू जी का कहना है बहुत ही थैंक यू मैम। रत्ना चंदा रॉय, सॉरी, थैंक यू मैडम। लिलिन मिश्रा, थैंक यू सो मच। यहाँ पे सुमाना सुमाना का एक कमेंट है मैम, हाउ डज इमोशनल इंटेलिजेंस अफेक्ट अवर सक्सेस। हालांकि इस टॉपिक से रिलेटेड नहीं है, तो आप इसका जवाब देना चाहें तो इट इज अप टू यू मैम, दैट हाउ डज इमोशनल इंटेलिजेंस अफेक्ट अवर सक्सेस इन लाइफ।
Actually, what is emotional intelligence? Emotional intelligence is understanding your as well as others' emotion and manage your emotions, control your emotions. So, in suppose in an organizational setup, if you can know, you can understand the emotions of your employees, you can better manage them. Then, if you can better manage them, you can be successful in solving their problems, in solving organizations problem. That's how you can be successful. Okay, but emotional intelligence, actually research says that those who in organizational setups who go to top positions, they are emotionally more intelligent. Because they can do well with their employees.
Of course, that
Okay,
understanding will.
Sumana ji.
Suman. Sumana, I hope your answer or your question is now clear, and it is basic fundamental that understanding the emotion of me as well as others. तो इसी में सारा आंसर है, यही सक्सेस है। क्योंकि हम अगले का साइकोलॉजी समझ ले, अगले की हम सेल्स स्टाइल समझ ले, अगले की हम नीड समझ ले, अगले का हम कुछ भी समझ ले, तो आप समझ के चलें कि एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल स्ट्रक्चर बनता है और सक्सेस की तरफ आप बढ़ते हैं। जी हाँ, उसके बाद है साहिबा जी, थैंक यू मैम बोल रहे हैं। पल्लवी आज थोड़ी लेट है, लेट नहीं, वो दूसरे लिंक पे ज्वाइन किया होगा। तो पल्लवी जी आप रेगुलर व्यूअर हैं, आपका भी थैंक यू है, थैंक यू फॉर दिस ब्यूटीफुल सेशन। साहिबा जी इंटरेस्टिंग सेशन बता रहे हैं, थैंक यू साहिबा जी। मारिया बाग, थैंक यू मैम फॉर योर वैल्यूबल टाइम। जी हाँ, यहाँ पे अहमद जी कह रहे हैं थैंक यू सो मच मैम, और सुमाना जी थैंक्स मैम बोल रहे हैं दोबारा से। पल्लवी जी यस सर बोल रहे हैं, और रिया जी कह रहे हैं थैंक यू सो मच। मतलब ओवरऑल हमारा सेशन बहुत ही बेहतरीन गया है। रिसर्च के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से मैं आपको कहना चाहूंगा कि यदि किसी भी बच्चे का मास्टर्स या मास्टर्स के बाद पीएचडी की तरफ जाने का मन है, उसको यदि एक वीडियो आप भेजते हैं तो उसके सारे बेसिक्स क्लियर होंगे, और ना सिर्फ बेसिक्स बल्कि अपनी लाइफ में वो रिसर्च के फील्ड में कुछ करना चाह रहे हैं तो भी उन्हें एक आइडिया मिलता है। क्योंकि शुरुआती कदम ही रिसर्च में कहीं ना कहीं महत्वपूर्ण होते हैं, बाद में धीरे धीरे रास्ते खुलते जाते हैं और चीज़ें क्लियर होती जाती हैं। और बहुत सारे लोगों को लगता है रिसर्च बहुत ही सीरियस, बहुत ही मुश्किल, और न जाने पता नहीं कैसा टॉपिक है, लेकिन आज इस वेबिनार को सुनने के बाद आई होप आपको ये क्लियर हुआ होगा कि ये भी उसी तरीके से है जिस तरीके से हम दूसरी चीज़ों पे काम करते हैं। आप सभी के जितने सारे कमेंट आए, किसी का मिस रह गया, मैं आपका बहुत बहुत दिल की गहराइयों से आभार व्यक्त करता हूँ, और इससे भी ज़्यादा आभार कि रिटायर सेवानिवृत्त होने के बाद भी आज मुझे सुनते हुए मैम को लग रहा था कि वो अभी भी अपनी सेवाओं को एक अलग रूप में उन्होंने जारी रखा है। मैं हमारे रिसोर्स पर्सन का बड़ा दिल से धन्यवादी हूँ कि ना रुके, उन्होंने अब सोच के देखें कि इंटरनेट कनेक्शन, टेक्निकल हैजार्ड्स, बहुत सारी चीज़ें हमें देखने को मिलती हैं। तो मैं मैम ने इतना एक प्रोग्रेसिव माइंडसेट रखा है आज भी। मैं सच में ही उनका बहुत बहुत आभारी हूँ कि उन्होंने इतना बेहतरीन तरीके से हमारे सामने इन चीज़ों को रखा। मैं बहुत बहुत उनका थैंक यू करता हूँ। आप सब भी बताइए कैसा लगा आपको सेशन। और मिलते हैं जल्दी किसी दूसरे सेशन में। मैम आपका बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया है, बहुत 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 धन्यवाद।
वेलकम एंड थैंक यू राज जी, आपको भी many many thanks for selecting me as your resource person. I am very happy, I felt very happy to talk in this session, and thank you all the participants for patiently listening to me. आप धैर्य सहकर मुझे सुन लिया, इसीलिए मैं बहुत ही आभारी हूँ आपके पास। बहुत
थैंक यू।
ही राज जी, आपको भी बहुत बहुत थैंक्स। नमस्ते।
सो थैंक यू, नमस्ते, ओके, बाय बाय। मिलते हैं एक ब्रेक के बाद जल्द ही, तब तक के लिए नमस्कार। आपका इसी वीडियो में
नमस्कार।
मैं जी, थैंक यू मैम, थैंक्स अ लॉट। इसी वीडियो के डिस्क्रिप्शन में हमने इसके सर्टिफिकेट का लिंक आपको जनरेट करके भेज दिया है। जो भी साथी इस सेशन का सर्टिफिकेट लेना चाहते हैं तो इसी वीडियो के डिस्क्रिप्शन से वो इसके अप्लाई कर सकते हैं। और इसी के साथ आपको हमारा ये सेशन कैसा लगा आप कमेंट में जरूर बता के जाइएगा। मैं आप सबका दिल की गहराइयों से बहुत बहुत आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। हमारे रिसोर्स पर्सन, हमारी इतनी प्यारी ऑडियंस, ये टेक्निकल सिस्टम, हमारी पूरी टीम, थैंक यू सो मच।